Good afternoon, everyone. Anthony Lamacchia here, broker owner of Lamacchia Realty and owner of Crush It in Real Estate. And I am excited to be here with you all today. Today's webinar is going to be about creative marketing ideas to sell your listings faster. And let's all remember, the faster you sell listings, the more that they sell for. In the last 2 years, we've been somewhat spoiled where everything has been selling fast. And now we're entering back into normalcy with the market. The market has decelerated a bit back to normalcy where it might sell in a week or in a few days, or instead of having 50 offers, you have 3 offers. So these type of tactics are important, and I feel like we put together a really good panel today. I'm your moderator, as you can tell, but I'm very excited about the panel that we've put together. Chad in Florida and Rizal in Georgia, both top producing realtors, and Amanda, who is here with us from Curbio. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Amanda to take it away and do an introduction of herself and a little bit about Curbio, and then we'll get into having Chad and Rizal introduce themselves. Go ahead, Amanda, take it away.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Anthony. I'm so excited to be here as a marketing professional myself. I have to say this is my favorite topic, hands down. So at Curbio, it's simple. We work with real estate agents and their clients to get all of their listings ready for market with pre-listing improvements. So whether the home needs just a quick few touch-up repairs, cosmetic updates, new appliances, or whole home remodels, you name it, we take care of everything from start to finish. And the best part is that home sellers don't pay anything until their home sells. So as you guys know, home updates are so critical no matter the age or the condition. Updated homes, they're going to attract more buyers, sell faster, and sell for top dollar. So we are the only true turnkey solution in the market. We are going to come in as a licensed and insured general contractor on every listing, take care of everything so you guys can do what you do best, move real estate, grow your business. Let us take care of all of that. And our goal is to really focus in on the smart home improvements. What is really going to get every house ready to hit the market and sell fast and attract those buyers? So in my role, I have the pleasure of speaking with agents and really hearing about all of their creative marketing ideas that they're leveraging. So I'm really excited to be here today and to be joined by Chad and Rizal.
Well, thanks very much for joining us. I'm going to be coming back to you with questions later. One of them is the top things that you see that create the most bang for the buck with the home. And you're going to be talking about that in a little while. But I will tell you, as someone who goes to numerous industry conferences and meets hundreds of realtors a month, I have been very impressed with how much you guys have grown and the great feedback that I've heard about Curbio from several realtors across the country. And you guys are in 33 markets now across the country, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we are coming up on our 5-year anniversary. We're in 33 markets, and we'll be, if we're not yet in your market, we will be soon.
Yep. Well, thanks very much for that. Why don't I move over to Chad? Chad, tell us who you are, what you do, and a little introduction here, please.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Chad Gray. I'm with the Luxury Living Fort Lauderdale group at Compass. I've been selling real estate here in South Florida since 2010. Prior to that, I was a mortgage loan officer in my home state of Vermont. I enjoyed that very much, but then when I moved to Florida, I decided to transition into real estate in 2010 and have been a top producing agent here in the Fort Lauderdale market since then. And this year I happen to be a top 25 agent in all of Broward County and top 10 in Fort Lauderdale currently with my year-to-date volume. So I'm very proud of that.
Well, and you should be, sir. I've been watching you for a long time and you do a great job. And I think I'm telling more people than Chad is, because Chad is somewhat of a humble character. He just sold a $24 million listing. In the last 7 days, I think I told more people than he did, but $24 million listing, right, Chad?
I did, yes. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Congrats on that. And I want to point out, part of the reason we connected before we were even, our company was even in the South Florida market, part of the reason I was aware of him was the marketing of his listings. And speaking of marketing, we also have another very creative, very aggressive marketeer on here, and that is Rizal from Georgia, who's selling luxury properties there. And Rizal, please tell us about yourself and provide us an introduction.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rizal Baker, and I'm here at Lake Oconee, Georgia. which is outside of Atlanta. And I am the co-founder of Luxury Lake Oconee Real Estate Group here at Lake Oconee. I have been a realtor for over 20 years and have been blessed and been fortunate. I love what I do and love property here. Last year, I sold over 70 houses, and you know, it's fun, great community, and I got my license.
Okay, so you said you sold over 70 homes, and several of your sales are well north of $1 million, correct?
Yes. So last year I closed over 150 million.
Over
Which I'm
150.
sure, yeah, that's probably nothing compared. I haven't sold a
Oh,
$24 million.
that's a lot of volume. So congratulations, Rizal.
Yes, 150 million for one realtor is significant, especially when you're selling 70 homes, which is also significant. But that goes to show that your average sale price is actually north of 2 million, correct? And when it comes to marketing, you know, we all know as realtors that obviously marketing, I always say, the more marketing you do, the more demand you create, the more money you put in your sellers' pockets. And you are two realtors that I've observed that get this. And you're willing to spend money out of your own pocket and not just put a home on MLS like everyone else does. You guys are willing to do out of the box things, creative things on behalf of your client to make them more money. So I want to go back to Chad for a minute. And Chad, I'd like you to talk about one of the unique things you did on that big listing, throwing a party. Can you elaborate on that and give us some background?
Yeah, so as Anthony mentioned, I had the privilege, and I just feel so fortunate I was able to list a $27 million home here in Fort Lauderdale, which actually were past customers of mine. I sold them the house 3 years ago. And so when I relisted it for them, I knew immediately that the house was going to sell to a boater, and more specifically, most likely a boater that has, you know, a giant yacht. The property itself is a massive home. It actually has waterfront on 3 sides, so it has 700 feet of water frontage and 400 feet of dockage. And it just so happens that a couple of weeks after I listed the property, the annual Winterfest boat parade event was happening. And I knew it would be a really great event to throw a big party that evening of the boat parade. And so we did. We threw this huge event. I invited brokers, they invited friends, and we had, you know, a lot of people. There was like 75 to 100 people that attended. And it was just a beautiful event in their backyard with a pool, and there was water everywhere, and all the boats were going by. It was just a magical night, really a beautiful event. And one of the brokers that I invited, a top agent here in Fort Lauderdale, actually brought his buyer to the event. So they came to the event. They really saw how beautiful the property was, and it's, you know, in its best light with all the boats going by and the water views and everywhere you looked. And they fell in love with the house. Long story short, eventually they ended up buying the house. So the buyers came to that event and bought the house. It didn't happen overnight. We actually did have to adjust the price, and then as soon as we adjusted the price, they bought the house.
I love that. So not only you had the folks that came to visit the home, which was 75 to 100 people directly, but as the boat parade, I've been in that boat parade, both on the shore and on a yacht. All the boats going by are seeing the property all lit up and people there entertaining. I mean, talk about marketing. It must have been amazing.
Yeah, it really was. It was such a nice event. You know, it was catered, full bar, you know, great food, great energy, lots of people. And as you said, there was, you know, the whole house was all lit up too. I mean, it was really gorgeous. And, you know, as I mentioned, the buyers who were there, you know, they fell in love with the house. They really truly did. And they saw how the house was just set up perfectly for entertaining, and they saw it in its best light. I mean, it was incredible.
I love that story. Now, let me ask you this, Chad. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Do you do parties like that or broker open houses like that, of that sort, for other listings as well? Or did you just do extra because it was a bigger listing, because it happened to be during the boat parade? Like, to what extent do you do that with other listings?
So I always host broker open events, but it depends on the price point. You know, if it's a very high end, ultra luxury home, you know, we tend to go over the top and spend a fair amount of money on catering and you know, a full bar and music and things like that. If it's a lower end listing, we do a little less, like maybe it's just champagne and chocolate covered strawberries or something like that. But you know, I think for me, what's that?
I said those are good. I love chocolate covered strawberry.
Yeah. And they go well with champagne. So we typically do stuff like that for lower end, but for the higher end, we really sort of go all out.
I like the sound of that. And speaking of parties, Rizal also did a party, and I don't want to steal any thunder, so I'll let her explain. But she does things like this for her listings. And why don't you take it away and talk about parties around your listings?
Yes, so, you know, open houses, I do a lot of open houses and for so many years, and I always try to think of events or open houses that are outside the box. You know, the champagne strawberries, that's great, but I've done different open houses, like I listed the lake house that has a fabulous view, and so we did a sunset cruise, sangria, and Spanish tapas. And so we actually took the agents on a sunset cruise on the lake, served sangria and Spanish tapas. And I've also done open houses that I will serve. I love to cook. So, I mean, I actually would make sushi and do a sushi demo, which is, so all these are just examples of open houses and events that I do outside the box, which is really important to me. And one thing that I want to mention is, aside from inviting the agents to this open houses, I also invite what I call the community influencers. So these are the people in your community that will talk about your listing to their friends and to, you know, the people that they meet at the club, the people that they meet at the restaurant. And I find that those influencers, you know, are really have a lot of impact. And I've had a couple of listings that were actually sold by somebody or a couple of people that I invited to an open house who told their friends from out of town, and these friends happened to be on the market, and so they called me and said so and so referred you, and apparently you've got this beautiful house, and he actually went to your open house and he told me about it, and we're looking for a house. So it is important for us to invite the agents, but also the people that in the community that can make a lot of difference.
Well, I like that. And I want to say, I mean, a seller can never say to you, what are you doing to sell my home? Because you're cooking, you're making drinks. I mean, you're doing a lot of this stuff. And I mean, talk about going above the call of duty.
Yes, you got to share your talents, right?
And it's also enjoy, so that's great.
What was that, Chad?
I was just saying it's something that she enjoys, so that's great.
Yes.
Well, you're right. And you couple that with marketing of the listing, and you know your sellers are happy, buyers are impressed, and also clients, potential clients in the future, they're walking around. Both of you, I mean, both of you put this on. They're walking around thinking, if I ever sell, I'm calling Chad, I'm calling Rizal. Like that's how they're thinking, and that's something that I think oftentimes newer agents miss, where they expect immediate gratification. And when did you start? When did you get into this business, Rizal?
Over 20 years ago. So I've been selling for 20 years. Yes.
And I'm coming up on 20. Chad, you got in it in 2010, you said?
Real estate, yes. Mortgages, 2001.
That's my point. My point is this stuff takes time. And for the newer agents listening, you can learn from these veterans, learn from these people that are going above and beyond and doing extra things, and apply it in your business. And just know that when Chad put that party on, or when Rizal's working on sushi and lining up, you said you had boats going around your a tour on the lake. You didn't know for sure how successful it was going to be, but you just did it.
So my background is hospitality. And I tell you, and I only mention that because before I started selling real estate, I actually worked for a big hotel corporation. And I was, you know, a service manager. I basically held different positions in operations management. But I say that because real estate and what we do, especially when we have listings, it's all about service, right? Open house, the videos, the photos, it's all about service. And So being in the hospitality really trained me to do that, to go over above and beyond, and also to think of, it's thinking ahead, right? I mean, so what can I do different? What can I do different today? What can I do different tomorrow? What can I do different next week? So it's, and what's fun about it is you can be really creative and effective.
Yep, you're right about that. Now let me jump to Amanda for a minute because I want to ask her, what are the top 3 most effective, call it upgrades or fix-ups or however you want to word it, that you folks do to a home that you find creates the most bang for the buck?
Great question. And I think, as we're all seeing, the market is shifting, right? So what we call is our basic listing prep. These are the top 3 hitters that almost every listing needs, no matter the age or condition. So number 1, curb appeal landscaping. For anyone that didn't know, Curbio actually stands for curb appeal inside and out. And Anthony is nodding his head because he just told me a few moments ago that his family has background in the landscaping space. But guys, this is so important. Where does the home buying process begin? Right on the computer. And so if the house listing doesn't look good on the outside, potential buyers are going to keep scrolling. So power washing, sprucing up the landscaping, making sure that front of the listing and the backyard, especially since now entertaining spaces are so important. Landscaping, I would say, number 1. 2, painting. Almost every home that we work on, we freshen up with a fresh coat of paint, whether it's touch-up repairs or whole home painting. If your listings have that old dated wallpaper, guys, what I'm talking about. The florals, their clown prints, we got to get those out and make sure that we're neutralizing the space and really creating that blank canvas for potential buyers. And then number 3, flooring updates. Whether that's just a deep cleaning of the floor, refinishing the existing flooring. If you guys have listings with carpet in the bathroom, they got to go. We got to take those out and really modernize that. So those are definitely the top 3 updates.
Well, I like the sound of that. I'm obviously biased to landscaping because that's what I grew up. That's what I grew up doing, and I'm absolutely fanatical about my landscaping at our buildings and at my home, and it is very effective. But I have to admit, in my experience, I will say paint goes a long way. It gives it that fresh smell. It gives it that fresh appearance when people are walking through the home, especially in the entryways, foyers, main hallways, things like that. It can really have an impact. So I'm glad you mentioned that one as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Now I want to jump over to, I think I'm going to go back to Razel, because one of the things that she talked about was video. I talked to them a little bit before this, and Razel, I want you to talk specifically about what types of videos you're doing for your listings. Is it an agent guided tour? Is it a drone? Is it all of the above? Like, give us some background on how you're going about those videos.
I think that it's, especially nowadays, it is important for you to show your sellers your competitive edge, right? Which is why you always want to think of creative things to do and outside the box. I mean, how can you be different? Videos obviously are very important because, as Amanda said, 95% of our buyers tour the homes in their pajamas, right? I mean, they wake up, they click on the video, and they tour. So the tour of the home is very important, but it is also a fact that, their attention span is usually 2 minutes or less, right? So you have to be able to capture them. And usually if they see a home tour that is just a typical home tour, they'll probably watch it for a few seconds and then move on to the next. So the most important thing is, how could you make it so different that you capture their interest? I've done different videos. I do tour videos. Yes, that's very important, obviously, when you put it in MLS and Zillow, but I also do specialty videos that do not only feature the house itself, but the lifestyle, right? These are videos that the buyers will see and put themselves in that house. Okay, why do I want to buy this house other than just the walls and the beautiful pool and the kitchen, right? So I've done videos that we have cast. This last video that we did is, we actually did a video of you know, my husband and I sitting right in front of the water of the lake, and it started with, imagine yourself having a cup of coffee while you're looking at this view, right? And then we went on and got our golf clubs, walked to our dock, put the golf clubs on the boat, and then imagine going to playing golf and arriving in your boat. And so we got to the golf course with a boat. And we also featured, there's a private airport here. You know, we also featured that as a clip, is, you know, van picked us up, we went to the private airport. So it's not just the house, it's the lifestyle video. I also had one video that my daughter is an excellent singer. She is 16 years old. And to make it different, she actually sang the song from The Greatest Showman. And she was singing while she was walking to the different parts of the house. I mean, everybody was just blown away. And of course, you know, the house sold, but it was just something different. And she loves to sing, so she didn't mind doing it for me. So, I mean, just something different. Again, optimize your video. That's very important. Optimizing videos and photos.
I like the sound of that. Before I forget, how can people find you, find your business? Chad mentioned luxury living in Fort Lauderdale. What's your website, Rizal?
LuxuryLakeOconee.com, which is Lake Oconee is Lake Oconee.
Okay, LuxuryLakeOconee.com, and then Chad, repeat yours.
LuxuryLivingFortLauderdale.com, all spelled out.
Okay, and one more thing I want to know, wherever you guys, you must be on Instagram, right? I assume Instagram or Facebook. Why don't you shout out what your Instagram handles are, because I think the audience would love to see some of the things you're doing.
Sure. So my Instagram is I'm Chad Gray. It's pretty simple. I am Chad, Gray.
Giselle, are you on Instagram?
Yes, and it's Rizal Baker Real Estate, which is RIEZL Baker Real Estate.
Well, I'm making notes of yours because I'm going to follow you on there, and I wanted to give the audience a chance to hear that, to connect with you. Amanda, any contact information? Or we have 20 minutes to go here, and I do want to take questions, but I just wanted to make sure to cover these housekeeping items while they're on my mind. Amanda, any contact information you want to give for yourself, or to shout out Curbio? Go ahead.
Absolutely, yeah. If you guys are interested, you want to learn more, the fastest way to do that is visit our website, curbio.com. And we love social media, and we're so excited to reshare posts, and you can follow us. Our Instagram handle is CurbioHQ, and that's where you can follow along with us.
Well, I will be following you as well right after this is done, because I like making connections with other folks in the business who are doing well, and you guys are impressive. So, Rizal, I like the sound of your videos. It's interesting to me how you and your husband, you were like actors. You said showing up at the property, right?
That's right. But it's the lifestyle, right? Because look, sometimes it's easy to find them a house, but you have to sell them the lifestyle, the features and benefits of why they should buy the property. Just like what you did, Chad, the boat, you know, that's all that is important.
Well, and when you say that, you say the lifestyle, it's so important. Think about, it made me think of Chad's website, right? Luxury Living Fort Lauderdale. So living, that's the lifestyle. It's playing on the same hymn, I mean, that you're hitting on there. And Chad, you are someone who's very strong online, and you have done different things digitally. I want you to spend a few minutes talking about that with the audience. Please take it away.
Sure. So from very, very early on, I knew it was super important to rank organically online, because, you know, let's face it, that's where every buyer is. So, you know, we really focused on creating a website that ranks organically for luxury and waterfront search terms. So, you know, I'm proud to say that for most luxury, like luxury condos, waterfront condos, luxury homes, luxury condos, we rank organically on the first page of Google for those search results. A lot of agents, I think, make a mistake and they try to go after something a lot more broad, like Fort Lauderdale real estate, for example. And there's 30,000 agents here in Greater Broward County, and so that's one that it's going to be extremely hard to rank on the first page of Google for that. So we went after a couple of luxury waterfront search terms, and we've consistently ranked on the first page of Google for those. So that's been extremely helpful. But also, to advertise our listings, we do a massive digital advertising campaign for our listings through Facebook, Instagram, Google Ads, and then also we do a retargeting campaign too. So Facebook and Instagram, as well as Google too, collect tons of data on their users, so it's easy to target the appropriate buyers because they all, they have the data on everyone, whether it's, so you can really target and focus either through age, location, geographical, location, income brackets, all of that thing. So you really can narrow it down and really target your audience. And so you're not wasting a whole lot of money just, advertising to anyone and everyone out there. So it's a really focused, targeted approach. So we do that on Instagram, Facebook, and then Google Ads. And then the retargeting ad campaign is really cool as well, because if you've ever shopped online for, let's say, a car, for example, let's say you're on Mercedes.com and you're searching for a car, and then all of a sudden for the next week or several weeks you see that same car on the side of your screen that's following you around the internet. That's called retargeting, and that's all done through Google, and we do that as well. So a lot of times, for example, I just did it recently where I sent a link to my seller's listing to the seller. He clicked on the listing, his own listing on my website, and then the ad followed him around the internet for weeks and weeks. And he just thought that was the most brilliant thing, because he knew that I was working hard and that we were advertising his property appropriately.
Yep. We've talked about that internally, how it's very important to make sure that the clients are seeing their own property when they're going online. So I love that digital strategy that you have. I have a question specific to Instagram. You said you're also doing this on Instagram. Are you doing it on your I'm Chad Gray Instagram handle or on a different one?
It's Luxury Living FTL, I believe it is.
Luxury Living FTL. I don't think I followed you on there, but I'm going to now. And I bet
actually we haven't posted much recently, but I have a marketing partner that does this, and I'm pretty sure it's done on Luxury Living FTL.
Okay. Well, I'm going to follow that, and I bet a bunch of the audience will as well. But that's good that you're targeting that way, because on the business side, you can target more specifically, and you can't necessarily on the personal Instagram page. So I imagine that's why you're doing that. What other things would you like to add that you're doing to market listings? Why don't we go back to Rizelle for a moment, or for a few minutes, for her to talk about, what haven't we mentioned? What haven't I asked you that you're saying to yourself, this would be good for the audience to hear that you do with your listings? Go ahead.
You also need to use, it helps to use your email, to email your listings to your clients. Okay, now the tips on emailing listings to clients is do not include so many photos that it will be hard for them to to open the email. I think that 1 or 2 photos with just bullet descriptions of the listing, just something to attract your attention, is always good, because it keeps you, in their minds, and they open it, and then they may not be interested in that particular listing. However, they will call you because they remembered that, to get in touch with you. So that's important. Another thing that's, I think, is very important that, a lot of agents don't think about is spicing up your listing description. Okay. When buyers look at houses, the first thing that they will look at is the MLS listing. And sometimes agents take for granted that fact. So when I say spice up your listing descriptions, don't just put 2 sentences. That's not interesting, right? And you don't have to write like a whole novel, but I think that you need to include features and benefits of that property. Okay, so in my descriptions, I always include where it's located, right? You can walk to the Ritz-Carlton. There's a Ritz-Carlton resort in our backyard. Okay, you can boat to the Ritz-Carlton in 5 minutes or less than 5 minutes. Okay, you can run to the gym. So those things are very important in your listing descriptions. Again, you look at the MLS, and that's the first thing.
Yep, that makes sense. You want to differentiate, and serious buyers are reading those. Everybody always obsesses about pictures, and pictures are obviously critically important, but a serious buyer is not just flipping through pictures. They're reading about the property, reading the description, and when you mix in the description of the property, where it is geographically, but also maybe some lifestyle type comments, enjoy your morning coffee overlooking the lake kind of thing. That is something that will attract them as well, and I imagine you're doing that, right?
Absolutely. Pictures are important, but descriptions are also important. Like what you said, once you capture their attention,
Yes.
looking at the photos and the video, the next thing that they will do is read your descriptions and go through the MLS listing. So that's an opportunity for you to keep getting the house in front of them and telling them about the house and the features and the benefits of the home.
I agree with that. So it's good that you mentioned that, because description is something that's been going on for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years back to MLS books. Heck, descriptions were even before pictures, but it's good that you talked about how to differentiate there. Chad, what else would you want to tell the audience about that you do that helps your listing sell faster, sell for more, impress your sellers, impress other prospective sellers that you also want to attract?
Yeah, well, just to piggyback on what Rizal just said, I'll be the first to admit I hate writing property descriptions. So what I do is I actually write a paragraph of about the property, just things that I feel are most important to mention, and then I send it to my marketing partner, and then he goes through it, looks at all the photos, and then just sends it back to me. So much more well written, it's unbelievable. So I totally agree with Rizal that it's really a lot, it really does make a big difference. And then she also mentioned photography. It blows my mind that there's still agents out there that are just taking photos with their iPhone or their other, any phone and putting them on MLS. I mean, it's such a small investment to spend a couple $100s on professional photography. I mean, it makes such a big difference. So I would highly recommend that. When a buyer's online, they're looking, when they pull up a listing, they're first going to see the price, and then they're going to see the photos. So you have to make a really good impression. The photos have to be professional. It's so important. And then of course, a great description, like Rizal just mentioned. But beyond that,
There's that you don't get a second chance to make a good first impression online. You don't get a second chance.
Exactly. And then, this is something that many people may not think is a marketing strategy, but I think it's the most important, which should be pricing the home properly. I mean, again, some people may not think that that's a marketing strategy, but I think it's probably the most important thing on the planet is pricing it properly, especially now that, the market's changing, it's shifting a little bit. I think we all feel it. Even here in South Florida, we were, everything was, our market was going gangbusters, and just until maybe a few weeks ago, and things have really started to change pretty drastically. And so pricing appropriately is, I would say, the most important factor.
And Anthony, I want to add to that about pricing, and like what Chad said, I mean, the market is shifting, and I think that it is important for you to align, the price of the house with the market expectation, right? And interestingly, it's not as you could feel the market shifting. It's not as frenzy. Whereas maybe a couple of months ago, Chad, right? It's easy for us to say, hey, let's price it this way, so that now it's different. So it is. I agree with you, because buyers are going to buy the house, obviously, because of the price. So it is important to align the price of the house with the market expectations.
I could, as someone who's been in this business a while and who has sold thousands of properties, I will say that is absolutely positively correct. And I think a lot of agents lose sight of it. I think in the last 2 years, a lot of agents and a lot of sellers have lost sight of it. And now some sellers are going to get their bells rung because they're overpricing and agents aren't taking the time. I mean, truth be told, in the last 2 years, even if your price was 10% over, you probably were going to get away with it. Now it's a new game. You're not getting away with it as much. And 6 months from now, it'll be even harder. So I'm glad that you brought that up. I will tell you, I'll confess, we buy properties regularly and fix them up and sell them quite quickly. We have a whole crew. We have a whole separate company that does that. And the gentleman who runs that company for me, he knows he doesn't have to check with me on pricing anything. He knows my instructions and what he wants to do, which is if a house is worth between 800 and 850, we're pricing that home at 799. We're pricing it at 789. We go a little bit under what we think it's worth because we know then we will attract more people and we'll sell the property for more and we'll have more leverage in the sale. So I'm really glad that you brought that up, Chad. Thank you.
Sure thing.
Amanda, tell us anything else you'd like to tell us with Curbio, and then we'll go around one more time, and then we're going to end this because people want to get back to selling. They've gotten so many ideas, they need to just get back to implementing them and not tie up their whole day. So anything you want to add as a recap, Amanda?
Yeah, I mean, I think these ideas are so great and crucial. I mean, expanding, experimenting into new channels. I want to say two things. One thing with video, some people on this call may be a little timid to experiment with video. And my tip is don't overthink it. Simple is smart. Keep things catchy, 15 seconds. I mean, as consumers, we're exposed to anywhere between 5,000 to 10,000 ads a day. So you have that golden 15 seconds to capture your audience's attention. How are you going to do that? So, keep it simple, keep it smart, cater to your experience, to your clients and your potential clients. But on the flip side of the transaction, the listing presentation, I think that is everything. I mean, you've captured, potential client. Now it's a time to make that first impression. Like Rizal was saying, this is the time where your personal brand is everything. That client selected you because they believe that you are going to be the agent that's going to deliver the most value to them. And so that's the time to really show that your expertise, sell and resell the value that you're going to bring them and provide them the options, show them your marketing game plan. So that listing presentation, I think, is also really crucial to move your listings super fast.
I appreciate that, Amanda. Thank you for saying it. And one observation that I'll make to help Curbio is I'm noticing, and I bet Chad and Rizal will say this, I'm noticing that our agents are telling me that the properties, in their words, that are gems are still flying off the shelf. The ones that aren't, that need some work, the ones that are a bit more tired, are suddenly not selling quite as fast. And that's exactly where Curbio comes in. So I just wanted to mention that because that's a trend that we're seeing. Why don't we jump back to Rizal? Rizal, any closing thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience?
Yes, just I think that listing exposure is the key, right? And like what Chad said, you have to leverage on all social media platforms, Google Ads, because you want to get as many eyes on the listing as possible. The second thing is optimize your video and your photos. You mentioned it earlier, Anthony, marketing, you spend money, but I've always believed in my 20 years as a realtor that you spend money to make money, okay? So if you want to make money, you're going to have to spend the money, and it's worth it. So you have to invest in marketing, leverage in social media platforms, optimize your videos and photos, highlight your features and listings, and those are the things that will help you move your listing faster.
In any business, you have to spend money to make money. That's the way it goes. And if you don't want to be, and you don't want to do that, then you shouldn't be in business. You could work with someone else, and that's okay too. Right? Well, thank you for that. And then Chad, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, a couple of free ways to move your listings faster. A couple basic things like open houses. One way I've always had really good luck with open houses is by door knocking a few of the neighboring streets and inviting all of the neighbors to come to the open house. I generally do that a couple days in advance, and I usually almost always get a great turnout And then, of course, the seller loves to hear that too. So it's a really great way to do it. It's free. Rizal just mentioned social media. I mean, just plaster it all, your listings on social media. That's free too. And then I would also say, promotion throughout your office. And like, for example, at my brokerage, we actually have a WhatsApp chat where we all can post buyer needs and new listings. So we always get information immediately when when a listing agent signs a new listing agreement. We're aware of the listing immediately because all of us, we all post our new listings on this WhatsApp chat. So it really works out well, and for buyer needs as well. So there's that, and then I always send out an email blast to all the top agents within my market to announce the listing. And then there was and then of course to my database as well. So all of those things are free things that I do that really help promote and get my listings sold faster.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, I was visiting some luxury condos down in Miami, and I was talking to the broker owner, and she was telling me how much they work to cooperate with other brokers, and that goes back to exactly what Chad just said. Embracing brokers in your office, other offices. Who cares where they're from as long as they're bringing you buyers? And yes, we just went through a period where, yeah, you probably, if you really wanted to, could have double-ended a lot of sales, and you could have got a lot of sales directly, but the name of the game is selling the property for the client for as much as possible. And we are in a cooperating business. So, he said sharing listings on WhatsApp. We do things like that in our company. We have a whole platform for it, and we help the agents link up to one another when there's a listing match. So that's something that folks should embrace. But I just want to thank you both, both realtors for being on here and Amanda from Curbio for being on here, because you guys did a great job. We have a great audience here. One thing about Real Estate Media, they do a great job pulling the best audience. I'm excited for their event in September, the CEO Exchange down in Washington, D.C. Already bought my ticket, booked my hotel. I will be there. And like to extend the invite to you guys. It's a great event. And I know that what the things that you guys went over are things that will help people in their businesses. So for the audience watching, I strongly, strongly recommend that you follow these people on social media channels and watch what they're doing, because they're doing great things. Thank you everyone for watching. And until next time, happy home selling.
Bye everyone.